I can't think of a more important topic, a more important conversation, or more important context to the most consequential legislative opportunity and lawmaking mechanism of budget reconciliation, which is ongoing, than the fiscal state of the nation, than the facts and figures and forecast of the nation's fiscal health. The fiscal state of the nation, by any measure, is in a dire state and condition and is rapidly in decline. I don't think that's up for debate. I think the question is, how much longer do we have to allow this unsustainable fiscal trajectory to persist without some intervention? Both parties, I will say from the outset, as I'm fond of saying actually, over the years as budget chairman, both parties have contributed to this. You know, my Democrat colleagues will grow the government and increase spending, and they will make statements of paying for it through taxes, or as we say, other people's money, and it never works out quite like they plan. Of course, Republicans, in their own way, leave the deficits growing because we think somehow we can grow out of a World War levels of debt and deficits. But I believe we crossed the Rubicon on growing out of this a good while ago. But it's okay because Republicans have the heavy mantle of reining in the spending, the runaway unbridled spending that's driving the debt. So fear not, fellow Americans. Republicans will simply offset their cost for defense and for tax cuts with spending reductions. Well, that hasn't worked out either over the years, if we're honest. I hope this is a committee where we may have different philosophies. We may have different policy positions as a result of those varying philosophies. But I hope we can call the balls and strikes as they are, and because I don't think it serves anyone, especially the American people, if we don't set the table in a way that reflects the harsh reality of not just the fiscal state of the nation, but maybe more importantly, the fiscal or the state or condition of Congress. Because at the end of the day, I think we know what needs to happen. In this moment, Republicans have to rise to this generational opportunity to not just do what we've done and probably could do in our sleep, which is cut taxes, and extend tax cuts, which I think is critical because growth is part of the solution. I think we have to make an investment in the first and most important job of the federal government, which is defense and all things national security. But we must, and it is an imperative, we must course correct and we must bend the curve on the automatic, unchecked, mandatory spending and the spending from entitlements, healthcare, welfare, and all the others that are going to drive this country off a fiscal cliff. And so in this moment, I don't think we're lacking for clarity on solutions, although I welcome those suggestions. I think what we're lacking in Washington all around, maybe among others like common sense and common decency, is courage. Courage to do what is necessary. Courage to do what every generation of American leaders have done when facing such an epic crisis that could, in fact, leave America irreparably damaged. Not just the economy, not just crowding out our ability to fund our national priorities like defense, leaving us weaker and more vulnerable to the risks around the globe, but to actually undermine the reserve currency status, our global leadership, and most importantly, as a father of 3 children, and I believe my Democrat colleagues feel the same way, robbing our children of the American promise and the American dream and the land of opportunities, and America as the dominant global influence. That's what's at stake. That's why we asked you all to come here. That's why we have to have this conversation as we prepare for the 26 budget cycle, but also, and probably most importantly, for Republicans who are meeting out this reconciliation bill and trying to collectively meet this moment with something that will put our nation on track to restore fiscal health and unleash prosperity and have our best and brightest days ahead of us.